All right, John, thank you. Police are still looking for a motive behind the tragic Sikh temple shooting in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Authorities say Wade Page, the man who allegedly killed those 6 and injured 4, did not leave behind a note. But we do know he spent the last few weeks in seclusion. We know he quit his job, moved out of his apartment that he shared with an ex-girlfriend. That ex-girlfriend, by the way, we've learned just this morning, has been arrested by South Milwaukee police on a gun charge. Page was a member of white supremacist bands and posed in photos just like this one here that display his sympathy clearly to white supremacist beliefs. But police are still not confirming he was in fact a member of a white supremacist group or whether his beliefs were motive enough for opening fire on this temple. J.M. Berger is a counterterrorism analyst who tracks the white supremacist groups. He's the editor of IntelWire.com. And J.M., good morning to you. I just want to begin here with these sources because you have sources that tell you that Wade Michael Page crossed paths with the FBI at some point in time, though he was never actually a suspect of any particular crime. Can you explain to me crossing paths? What does that mean and what do you know?
Sure. What I discovered, I was looking into Wade Page, obviously, as we all were, in the immediate aftermath of the shootings, and I was looking at some of the web postings that he made on the Hammerskins skinhead site. You know, the police aren't totally confirming that he was a member of the Hammerskins, but it's pretty clear that he was very closely associated with them. I saw references in those posts to some activity in Florida, which I sort of cross-checked, and a source pointed me to some documents, court documents that had been released very recently regarding the American Front skinhead organization in Florida. The American Front was a similar organization to the Hammerskins. They were planning to instigate a race war. They were training very heavily for this, and 13 of them were arrested in May of 2012, which is where these documents came from. An informant who was involved in that investigation reported seeing Wade Page's bands at an event in March of 2011. So he was in the room with this guy, and there, in addition to the informant reports, which we have, what we don't know is what kind of FBI records are related to this. There were 2 FBI agents involved in this undercover in this investigation, and as well as a local law enforcement agent undercover. So there are probably some records on this.
JM, here's my question, and I was talking to Mark Potok yesterday with the Southern Poverty Law Center. They've been tracking him for some 12 years. My question is this, and he said, you know, they're tracking thousands of people like Page, which is frightening enough. What is it that these individuals need to do beyond associating themselves with these hate groups to do more than simply tracking someone?
This is the big challenge of counterterrorism. You're looking at extremist groups which have thousands of members. Each one, you know, each different kind of extremism has thousands of adherents. All of these people are very busy. They talk to each other, they post online. There's a tremendous mass of data. And, you know, you probably heard the phrase after 9/11 that processing the intelligence was like trying to drink from a fire hose. And it's the same thing here. The people who are going to act out violently are often pretty subdued in some of the stuff that they put out there, whereas, you know, somebody who is never going to do anything might talk a very good game and sound very scary.
Yeah.
So this, you know, there's no sure way to know who's going to act out without, you know, intelligence on the ground and the person discussing them.
And that is part of the frightening part, and that certainly, I hear you, that is challenging. I want to ask you, though, a little bit, we're learning a little bit more when it comes to Page and his career in the military and sort of the roots, perhaps, for him of this movement. And so Anderson Cooper, he actually talked to someone who spent time with Page during, while he was in the military. Take a listen to this.
What he told me during the course of our time together was that he really started to identify with the neo-Nazism during his time in the military. And specifically what he told me at one point was that if you join the military and you're not a racist, then you certainly will be by the time you leave. And what he meant by that was that he felt like that he learned while he was in the military that the deck was stacked against whites.
I mean, I hear that. I think, well, the members of the military are our nation's heroes, certainly, but I mean, it sounds like that in certain perhaps niche groups within our military and our bases, there is most definitely part of the nascent signs of a movement here.
Well, when Wade Page was stationed at Fort Bragg in the 1990s, he arrived on base right about the time that authorities discovered a fairly significant neo-Nazi skinhead movement on the base. 3 soldiers from Fort Bragg were prosecuted for murdering a black couple right around the time that Wade got there, and the Army actually did take a first stab at reforming its policies on extremism in the ranks. There are a lot of things that contribute to this, but you know, one thing that we really have to keep in mind is that extremists are often explicitly interested in joining the military because they get training that they can use later. You know, if somebody has that kind of inclination, there have been some explicit discussions among leaders of some of these groups that their followers should join the Army to get trained. In addition to that, you know, I mean, I've talked to some veterans. I hear different things from different people. Some say that there's not a massive problem. Others have expressed concern to me about what they've seen in the ranks. And, you know, the military is a massive operation, like the U.S. population. There are going to be some people who are problems.
J.M. Berger, counterterrorism analyst, editor for IntelWire.com. J.M., appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will be back in a moment. You're watching